I really feel honored. I got to introduce the first one with Meredith and the last one with Brendan. I've had a great year with Brendan. I know he can be a little challenging at times to himself and others, but he's really done a great job this year. His work is impeccable. Takes a little while sometimes, but it's really impeccable. And I'm really genuinely interested to see where he goes and what he does. He's just so creative and at times funny. Not as funny as he thinks he is, but sometimes funny. I really have had a great year, and he's really come a long way. So good luck.
Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. This quote resonated with me because sometimes the hardest part of an assignment is starting it and believing that you will not fail. Believing that we can do something needs to be the first part of any process. I end this introduction with a tip. We need to believe that we can, and believe that it's not impossible more often. Watercolor is a new activity for me. I've not done it for very long, but I've gotten better quickly. I wish to be able to make pieces that when I see, I feel proud of myself for making something that looks really great, or beautiful, or awesome. The process in creating the artwork is always a lengthy one. It can take a whole day to complete a bad piece. But art is only fascinating because of its difficulty. The one person that made me able to make my great art so quickly is my previous next-door neighbor. When I was younger, I always entered her house as if it was a second home of mine. One of my favorite stories to her account is when I barged into her home when she was selling it to her buyers. I walked in as the buyers gave me weird glances that I was too young to understand. I went and looked for candy in her house. The buyers thought that I added character to the house like an antique piece of furniture. I've done sports over the course of my life, and they were always enjoyable. I've swam since I was young. I've done cross-country with friends, tennis on my own, and diving on a team. I love basketball when playing, and I always had a good time. All these sports were unique experiences, and they don't mention the sports I forgot about, or sports that I suppressed in my memory because of the bad experiences. I have personally seen much academic growth and success in my time as a collegiate middle school student. While this is not quantifiable, I do think that what subjects I like have severely altered and shifted. A subject I have always held a fondness for was science. Whether I was learning about the rock cycle, space exploration, or chemistry, I would always listen intently as if it wasn't boring. This year, as an 8th grade class, we were also taught U.S. history. In class, I would blurt out answers, and I don't think Mr. Haas, our teacher, took that too kindly. And an example of one of these times is when we were talking about the Treaty of Versailles that officially ended World War I. I would talk about how World War II was inevitable after this because of how harsh the treaty was on the Germans, and I would just go on a rant like that. The lockdown was difficult for most people, but it was really hard on me. Doing virtual assignments gave me no motivation to work or try hard in class. I did not do any of the assignments because I felt at the time that I was not learning while online. I ended up not doing close to a month's work. My grades clearly plummeted to a rock bottom. The bad grades and my helping parents gave me the motivation to continue, even though I hated online working classes. I ended up getting all A's that quarter due to how understanding and great the 6th grade teachers were. I understand that a drop in grades is not one of the worst things that the lockdown brought with it, but it was impactful to me because I could not, and still cannot, stomach a grade worse than an A. It is likely that in high school this mindset will be shattered. The 8th grade Beauty and the Beast play was an interesting experience. I met new friends and expanded my view of the 2022 8th grade collegiate middle school class. I have never done a school play beforehand, and I only wanted to do so because I wanted to play Gaston. Gaston is the man who's an egotistical, strong hunter. I am basically Gaston with the omission of him being strong and extremely manly. Acting was a fun time, and it felt good to have one of the bigger roles. The thing that really changed after the play was who I would speak to. I did not have friends doing the play I did not have many friends doing the show with me, so I talked to anyone who would listen. This extended to most parts of my life, unfortunately. I did not care who I was talking to as long as I had a good conversation with them. I was also really good at memorizing lines. I never had to go over lines out of practice. Sorry, Miss Henderson. I remember when we started to rehearse it one time, I started to say lines out loud without my book. I was told that I was being disruptive, and there was no denying that. The play was a fun time, and I might do it again next year if the story interests me. I am a perfectionist. Just the other day I was helping my little brother with his project. I was creating a map of Haiti to help him. And when he did a mediocre job coloring on his own work, I got mad at him. I need to get an A in a given class or else I feel terrible. My standards and my own work carry over to other people's work. My perfectionism makes it really difficult to do work efficiently and quickly. The time it takes me to do work far exceeds the normalcy too. This is evident from the time it took me to write this speech. I am a procrastinator, and this can affect me. I often wait till the end of a deadline to do a project or assignment. Even on homework, I often wait till it's late at night to start. Procrastination and perfectionism are clearly a terrible combination. But there's more. It also takes me 3 times the amount of time to do the same work as someone else. It is really difficult to complete this work on time because of this hat trick of time wastage. I have gotten better, though, and I'm not quite as much of a perfectionist anymore. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. When I started writing the speech yesterday, I believed that I could finish and succeed. Reading this now, I do not think I will finish, but I'm already halfway through. Thank you for listening to my speech, and I now have to dedicate it to people. I chose to dedicate it to 3 people, 4 technically. I want to dedicate it to my parents. They're really understanding and helpful on my work, even though I do it really late, I'm sorry. But they're really understanding, and I appreciate that of them, even if I don't show it. I also want to thank my brothers. I know we fight a lot, but that's part of being a brother, I'm pretty sure. So, thank you to them. And we also had a good teacher from our middle school time, and I chose Mr. Haas. So, Mr. Haas is kind of like a bald eagle. He's the shining beacon of blue days for me. And I really had a fun time in his class. So thank you, Mr. Haas.